Hey, real quick, those of you on YouTube, there isn't any gameplay to go along with this one because I made the poll asking about whether or not I should include gameplay on these on YouTube. It was made after we beat Pink Panther Hocus Pocus. Honestly, just open a silent walkthrough or long play and watch it at the same time. It's a point-and-click game, so a walkthrough and a gameplay recording are the same exact thing. Welcome to EXP Shared, your gaming book club. Sarah, that's me, Blythe, Kanny, and Rook agree on a game, play it, get together, and talk about it. You can join the book club too by joining the Discord, bit.ly/EXP Disco. And your opinion, review, or recommendation might make it into the podcast. Your game recommendation might be what we play next. With that out of the way, let's get on with sharing. Today we'll be talking about Pink Panther Hocus Pocus Pink. Make sure to stick around to the end to hear a listener's review. Getting us started. Alright. I'm here with Kanny, Mabel, and Rook. Introduce yourselves and we'll get started.
Hello, it's me. I'm Blythe.
And I'm Kanny.
I'm Rook.
As the intro already said, we played Pink Panther Hocus Pocus Pink, which is the second MS-DOS game featuring the Pink Panther. And Rook, why don't you give us a breakdown of the story since it was your game?
Yeah, sure. The game basically starts with the Pink Panther going as a door-to-door salesman, selling his encyclopedia of knowledge, or whatever it's called.
It's the Book of Everything, I think he called it.
Yeah, the Book of Everything. It's just basically an encyclopedia of the world and time and all that.
Encyclopedia salesmen used to exist in the real world, and they were vacuum cleaner salesmen. Back in the day, you didn't have the internet and stuff like that, so there would be dudes who'd go door to door trying to sell you encyclopedia sets, and it'd be 26 big book entries of just all the information of the world.
Yeah, it's weirdo. Why would you ever buy that?
Yeah,
right?
It's super expensive, and it takes up so much space.
We still got door-to-door salesmen even here, you know?
Yeah, someone tried to sell me fake jewelry.
Yeah, you mean that one crackhead who's tried to do that?
Yeah, it was weird. But yeah, he's a door-to-door salesman, and he arrives at this mansion of these, I presume, dentists who are hosting a dinner party to try and get other rich people to buy their
Celebrity teeth.
celebrity teeth or something.
God, I hope he's a dentist, because otherwise his house being shaped like a pair of dentures would be really weird out of context.
With braces, too. It's weird.
I think they're just rich people who have bought their way into dentistry and are basically just like...
Do you think they're like the Swanson TV dinner family fortune?
Yeah, they buy, like, they're related to everything like dentistry. They're not dentists themselves, they're just rich people who are really into teeth.
Oh, like Elon Musk, they own the technologies.
Yeah, they own the technology because you talk to the guy and they talk about, you know, he shills his dentures that are like flame proof and stuff like that.
Smash proof.
Smash proof.
And they're able to
Yeah.
talk and project your voice on their own like they're
Yeah, that's crazy.
like they're a puppet or something.
It's weird. Or they're just really good at ventriloquism. I don't know. Yeah, and he's trying to sell his encyclopedias, and he goes to this house, and they're having a dinner party, and for some reason he goes upstairs to a little boy's room. Thinking about it now, that's weird. But this little boy had previously...
Yeah, he's a salesman. He didn't get invited in. There's no mention of him getting invited in. He just kind of walked in, took the stairs, and I guess went to the room that's at the farthest end of the hall, which happened to be the room with the kids in it.
He literally just meanders and sees the mansion and goes in, and then...
Yeah, he just breaks in.
Oh, I belong here. And I was like, oh, I guess. Well, this little boy who lives with his rich, weird, teeth-loving parents. Previously, he was like studying some dark occult magic or something like that.
Yeah.
And a little girl who came with one of the dinner party guests came running into his room, and he actually accidentally turns into a big, hideous, flying wombat monster.
Yeah,
Are we going to talk about the dinner guests right now?
it's a
No,
wombat.
I'm just trying to tell the story.
Okay.
And so the Pink Panther comes in and he's like, I'm trying to sell a book. Weird that he's trying to sell it to children. And the children are like, no, you have to help us turn her back into a little girl. Which is also weird. Like,
Why not
okay,
ask
yeah,
your
this
parents for help?
This encyclopedia salesman is definitely going to help us turn this little girl back into a little girl. And it's like, okay. I guess. And then, they take his words from his books, like his encyclopedias, and they scatter them across the world. And they're like, you'll never get your pages back unless you help us turn this little girl back into a little girl. And so he's like, okay, I guess I have to, instead of, just going and getting a different book.
Yeah, I guess his is the only one that's in print. And like, how are you going to sell it if it's only one book?
The only thing I can think of is he had to buy that one specifically, and he's like, I can't afford another.
Like Avon, where you had to buy the stock first.
Yeah, and basically you're just going around trying to find ingredients to help turn this little girl that got turned into a monster back into a little girl. And you're going to like different times, different eras, different places. Like you go to like Antarctica, I believe.
Part there.
What?
Strange Blood.
Oh, yes, there's also like this weird dude, this evil sorcerer,
Warlock.
quote unquote. Warlock, whatever, living in the dark, scary woods behind the dentist's parents' house for some reason. And the little kid is like obsessed with him, and so he's like trying to study his like magic and stuff. And you have to go to his house and get a book to try and help turn this little girl back into a little girl. And from there, you stumble into a wormhole, and it brings you to all these different places, like Siberia, Egypt. Yes, the wormhole's name is Spot.
Black hole.
Yes. You're just going to like Siberia, Egypt, Athens, Mount Olympus, Indonesia, Komodo Island, all these other places to try and get ingredients to turn this little girl back into a little girl. And that's the story.
Yeah, and the ending's particularly funny because you find out at the ending, spoilers for a game that's older than everyone here except me and Rook. In the end, it turns out that the sorcerer was helping the little magician boy do all this stuff, so he was the one who took the words out of our book and stuff like that, and he's the one who tried to help him get it all together. So in the end, it turned out that the warlock could have helped us the entire time, just chose not to.
Yeah, he's not an evil warlock, he's just creepy.
Yeah, he's got a really good voice.
Yeah.
Like, best voice actor in there besides Pink.
It fits his character. Pink Panther's voice does in fact not fit his character.
No, but he's a good voice actor though. He's just incredibly fruity.
Well, what it sounds like is it's a catty, like a young adult kind of voice is what it is. I believe it was. Yeah, that's what he kind of sounds like. He just kind of very.
He's very
know-it-all.
He's a very much a know-it-all. And it gets annoying real fast.
Well, again, that comes into the game. Anyways, where are we starting off at?
So the first thing is that its genre is point-and-click adventure, and unfortunately, it is very much a point-and-click adventure game. So everything negative that you can think about it, about point-and-click,
Click educational.
Oh yes, it's educational too.
Educational children's adventure.
But everything that you can think of that's wrong with point-and-click adventure games exists in Pink Panther as well. The only blessing we have is that it's only 3 hours long. I think it took me an hour and a half to finish, and that's because Mabel knew everything already. So it has a really bad problem with your traditional point-and-click issues like bad logic. Like, I get it that they're trying to be funny and silly with some stuff, but some things it's just like, it doesn't make sense.
It has the Sierra point-and-click logic is a lot of issues where things are goofy, made to be like goofy, like problem-solving things.
It's same person logic.
Like one puzzle is
the toenail one.
Take the toenails that this old lady is clipping off her toes and use it to cut the icicles that are hanging off from in one area, so you can cut them off by throwing the toenail at them and turning them into stairs because they fall in like a stair formation.
And the only hint you get towards that is Pink says, "These look strangely aerodynamic."
Yeah, and that's it. There's a lot. They say the issue is like there are hints in the words that he says, but they're not hints to where you could make a leap in logic at all. Like, if you were to explore around and to just pick things up, as you said, and not really observe things, there is no connection to those.
Yeah, and if these leap of logics don't make sense to adults, they're not going to make sense to children at all.
Which is another major gripe, because half of the education is stuck in the Book of Knowledge. All the education is poured into the Book of Knowledge, and then everything else is literally like the song and dances are educational.
Yeah,
there
so
are some tidbits here and there that they talk about.
The majority of the gameplay is that it's your point-and-click adventure. It's 50% pointing and clicking, and 50% listening to characters say dumb stuff. It's mostly Pink going, "This reminds me of blank," like a Family Guy character, or like Gex.
It's a point and click. What do you expect?
Say something relative to or like important to the like actual things that are going on, instead of going like, "This reminds me of the time that blah 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 blah," and then it's like,
"This reminds me of a time on Jeffrey Epstein's island."
Yeah, that kind of thing, or like and then the misquotes and stuff like that too. It's like, if it's an educational game, why are you misquoting people? That's not going to help the children learn the quotes.
I do remember that, the misquotes.
And the references are really dated too. Like, they're dated for even the game. Like, there's a workout tape from Jane Fonda on there. Sorry, Jane Fondue. And no one in 1997, no kid in 1997 is going to know who the hell Jane Fonda is.
There's just a lot of weird references to everything too, as well. Like Blarney.
Yeah.
Barney.
That one at least makes sense. A kid would at least get Blarney.
That makes sense too. I don't know. The game is weird. All right, where are we starting off with now?
Characters? You want to talk about the characters?
My God, yes, actually, because for an educational kids game, this game has the weirdest selection of first impression characters. A majority of the party goers.
Oh yeah, the party goers at the.
I mean, one of them is just Frankenstein's monster, which is whatever. But the dinner party host.
You mean Dr. Frankenstein?
No, Frankenstein's monster.
Okay, I guess I didn't see Frankenstein's monster.
It's okay. The green lady with like the bolts where she shoved.
Oh yeah, okay. I thought she was a
Frankenstein's
robot.
monster. She's made out of other people's parts.
Okay.
That's why she's got the bolts in her.
And
mouth.
that's why he wanted the celebrity teeth, so that he could complete his ideal woman.
The celebrity teeth is called the Starlight Collection.
Yeah.
By the way, it's called the Starlight Collection.
And it's kept in a glass case made of teeth.
Made to resemble pearly whites and gums. That's what the cabinet looks like, is like teeth and gums.
If you hate teeth and you think teeth are gross, the entire game is going to gross you out.
The entire beginning of it, because we're greeted to the first two characters, which is Pink himself, and then later on, like, the rest of the characters, which you get to meet like a couple of times. None of them are very standout, other than
the racial caricatures.
There's the racial caricature. And
yes, there's one.
Well, three altogether if you count the entire family, and that is the entire Asian family is depicted with squinted eyes, and then the dad is depicted with a stereotypical Asian father voice.
I would like to make note that I did not remember that.
No, because you were a
child.
kid. It's fine.
Yeah.
But he's not just having a Japanese voice, Mabel. He is the stereotype, the racist caricature of the Japanese businessman.
Yeah, I know.
He's short, bald, short fuse, tries to buy his way out of all of his problems, and yeah, his name is Mr. Izuma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you had to can a voice to it, if you can't think of the voice, it's Takio from goddamn Call of Duty Zombies is what you could think of what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's like a gruffer Takeo.
Is what it sounds like. It sounds like a white dude doing a...
Yeah, it sounds like a white dude doing an old, Asian man impression.
But that's three of our characters, is the family that comes in.
Well, that also reminds me, like, the girl that's possessed is also the daughter of those people.
Yeah.
And she, like, one of the things she said she wanted to be was, like, a ninja Mermaid.
She wants to be a immortal ninja mermaid.
Immortal magical princess ninja mermaid. Come on, y'all. You have to get with it.
Okay,
Again,
but that's
also-
just kids being kids. That I wouldn't say
Yeah.
that one was racially charged.
That
I
doesn't
would think
feel
that was
racially
just
charged.
kids being kids.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah.
that's not too bad. But here's the thing: is that in the beginning of the game, it's shown as if an accident. Like the game displays it as an accident that she's been turned into the thing by the other kid who wants to be a magician, accidentally turning her into there, and that wasn't the entire plan of turning her at all. Because in the beginning, it stated that it was an accident, and we have to turn her back to a little girl, and then after getting to the kids again, after going through the whole rigmarole of all the puzzles down there, they go, I didn't want to be a wombat. I wanted to be a
Rook, say the line.
Immortal magical ninja princess mermaid.
immortal magical ninja princess mermaid. So the game can't even get its own story right in the beginning of it because it's not an accident. It was on purpose. It just happened to be a failure.
It's an
But then
accident in that sense.
But
Yeah.
if we go through it, you have two families. The one family, which is the teeth-obsessed dinner hosts. We don't know their name, but mom and dad of the magician kid. And then
Describe mom and dad.
Okay.
Donald
Dad-
Trump,
Donald-
and then a giant,
Donald
a tall, skinny ass woman with fake tits.
Big, floppy, fake, saggy tits.
But
Yeah.
that's the thing. They depict her with her dress open and her chest showing, and then you can see her boob lines, like her saggy boob
Cleavage,
lines,
wrinkles, all of it.
go into her chest. Again, really weird for a kid's game.
Yeah. Weirdly sexualized depiction, honestly. But I think they were just trying to make her look gross.
Yeah, they're trying to make her look wrinkly and weird and but it again, weird again for a kid's game. And then so that's three of our guests right there, and then we have the other family. I forget their names.
The Izumas.
The Izumas.
The Izumas.
We have Mr. Izuma, and then we have Elizabeth,
I think so.
which is the little girl who's been transformed into a wombat who wants
Pretty
to.
sure her name is Lily.
Is it
Yes,
Who gives a f?
Lily? Okay.
I do. Continuity, please.
Lily, who's been transformed into the wombat who wants to be a immortal.
Immortal magical ninja princess mermaid.
I'm pretty sure he's been changing up this entire time, but whatever.
If not,
So that's three. That's six of the guests at the party,
And then,
and then
there's
we
the
have
poor Penny, I think her name was, her last name.
Yeah, Miss Poor Penny.
Miss Poorpenny, who happens to be there because she is a
Lotto winner.
Gamblers rise up because she has won. She is a part of the 10% of
Yeah.
the winners. who
So
never gave up.
this talks about the social dynamic between the old rich and the neo-riche. And the old rich are discriminating against her because she's neo-riche. She's rich from new money. Money that is from the lottery. She didn't inherit it, or she didn't run a successful business in order to, quote-unquote, earn it.
They say she's there because she wants to buy the Starlight Collection because she thinks it'll get her into the rich crowd because
Yeah, she thinks it'll earn her respect.
It's not the neo reach. It's just she used to be poor, and because she's poor.
Yeah, but she is neo-riche.
Yeah, I guess neo reach, but she's there to buy the Starlight Collection to get into the rich crowd because she thinks it'll get her into the rich crowd if she has something very expensive. Then we have she make a new you,
Mr. Maka, you knew.
Mr. Make a you new, and she make a you anew.
Is that the scientist and the monster?
The plastic surgeon that is there with his Frankenstein monster wife.
Yeah.
So yeah, as you can tell, there's a little bit of a social commentary in how the characters are designed even.
And of course, like I said, She Make a New You Anew is completely made of all the body parts that He Make a You Anew patients discarded. So she's made of discarded plastic surgeon clients' body parts. And of course, at the very end, we said that, she gets the teeth in her. That's why he's there, is he wants to give her the teeth. The voice for her is absolutely horrifying, by the by.
I never paid.
This game is a wreck and I hate it. But anyways, let's get on with it. And then we have Miss Miss Saltina.
Something Saltina. She's an Saltina Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, she is a Duchess of
The
all
Cracker
things
Barrel industry or something.
Okay,
like
that one's definitely a reference to the Swanson family.
But she is there just again to purchase the Starlight Collection.
There's also the black guy with the futuristic.
Yeah, is he
shape.
supposed to be
golden pipes?
Shaky Golden Pipes.
Is he supposed to be making fun of Stevie Wonder?
The stepson?
I don't know who.
To another character they referenced.
Something Golden Pipes. He's like, he's my stepfather.
Yeah, he's my stepfather. And Pink makes a reference or says a joke that would make you the stepson of Soul.
Yeah.
And so yeah, he's there. He's the thing. And then our last character is
Flip Loose Liver.
Flip Loose Liver, and
Who gets his name?
He buys body parts as well. That's why he is there. For some reason, he likes to buy body parts.
I thought his whole shtick was that he came there for the free alcohol.
Yeah, he literally just came there for free alcohol.
But like,
I'm only here for the free food.
the only
See
characters
ya.
that matter are the main two families and the kids and the sorcerer. Everyone else is a minor
And
character.
Pink.
Everybody else does
And
not
Pink.
take and Pink. And
Everyone else is just a backdrop, setting up a theme for why all these people are gathered at this place.
But that is our, and then we have Doctor Strangeblood, which is the
old man,
the titular magic man who is
The Hocus Pocus in our Pink.
Yeah, the Hocus Pocus in our Pink, and
that sounds like a second.
we only meet him when we're tasked from I think his name is Billy, isn't it?
Something like that, or Nate.
Who? Nathan.
Yeah,
His
yeah,
name
it's
is
Nathan.
It's a very average name.
He looks like a Billy to me, but he's Nathan, and we're tasked to get the book from the Warlock's house. And the rhyme that Nathan does not say to us, but whispers in the night as like a thing, like he said to
I
us.
have it written down.
It's on a cold night at 8 p.m. or at 8.
I have it written down.
On a cold winter's night, about 8:30.
No.
What?
Sarah has it written down.
On a cold
Okay.
winter night at the stroke of 8, the warlock walks for an hour straight.
And that's what it says. But
Mabel fumbling this.
listen, the game was not enjoyable.
It was very boring. I was fighting falling asleep.
This is like the first 20 minutes of the game. But
This I did not grow up with Pink Panther, so I don't know who this game. This game is made for like 80-year-old people who need to be re-educated.
Yeah, Pink wasn't very relevant even in like 97, I guess, unless you got Boomerang.
The only time I knew of Pink Panther is when those people who used the installation people who
Oh, yeah.
had the Pink Panther.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
What is the deal with that?
I don't know, but it doesn't matter because that's how old it is. Is that I only know Pink Panther from the fact of insulation selling.
This would be pretty funny to not have any reference for Pink Panther. The insulation.
I knew that he was a silent character, a silent
but it's
cartoon character,
funny.
and that's it.
But Pink Panther comes from old cartoons where he's silent, and he's also a spy in his
Previous game.
previous game and in the cartoons.
And a movie.
There's also the movie where
He's not.
it's an actual person.
It's a person, but the character is there at the very end and beginning of it.
Yeah.
Of the movie. So that just goes to show you how weird Pink Panther is. It's literally just Gex, but for like 80-year-old people.
Also, I want to make it a correction. The little girl's name is Violet, not Lily.
Okay.
Correct,
Well,
Matt.
there we go. But as we go to the Warlock's house, we grab the book and we talk to Spot, who is a black hole. And then, lo and behold, Doctor Strangeblood comes back a little too early.
It's like, it was unusually warm out tonight.
Yeah. And
Let's deliver that a little better. Pink was like,
You're supposed to be...
Nathan said, "You're here." Nathan said, "On a cold night at the stroke of 8, the warlock walks for an hour straight." And he's like, "It was unseasonably warm."
It was
Yeah.
unseasonably warm out tonight. And then his eyes turn red and...
That
like,
made me laugh
"Go."
so hard. I laughed
But-
so hard at that.
but that causes us to fall into the black hole, which for some reason Spot helps us out. But
And then never talks again for like the rest of the game.
yeah,
Yeah.
Spot is a character that talks for like literally 2 seconds, one for being like, I'm a black hole. And then Pink goes, I've never seen a black hole before. You look very black or something like I don't know.
He doesn't say that at all. And then when you first fall into the black hole, he's like, I can read the book from here. Here's where you gotta, here's what you gotta do.
He says a rhyme to tell you what ingredients you need to solve this whole thing. But of course, again, you have to figure that out because it is a point and click. But there is literally all of our main characters to start off with.
So let's talk about the encyclopedia real quick. The encyclopedia that Pink's selling, you can read it at any time that you want, and each time you collect a new page, you can read more about it. And the book contains real-world information, which was a little weird because the game doesn't line itself up as being an educational thing before you see your first music video on there. In the encyclopedia, there are sections on the various locations that you'll go to, and one location you go to is the Dead Sea, which is in Israel. And in the book, you can read the encyclopedia section on Israel, and it goes over the birth of Israel, how it's only 50 years old at the time, and the conflict between the Israelite people and the Palestinian people, and their conflict and stuff like that. So it's very weird because it's like, that's very pertinent to what's going on now.
It's current news, yes. It's
topical.
Yeah.
And it was very weird seeing it in there because they also go over like the religion and stuff like that, and I don't know, it's just not, I wasn't really expecting anything like that from Pink Panther. Like,
well,
who is this for?
I do want to point out, when I was a child, I never once looked in the book. It's just
I looked in it by accident.
And that's the thing. You don't have to look in it at all. For an educational game, the education is barred by you literally picking and not playing the game.
The education is optional.
The education is optional unless you finally solve all the way through the first section, part 1. I've already labeled the game in like 3 parts. It's basically we have 3 parts. We have part 1, which is the Dead Sea, and then we have Siberia. And then part 2, which is
Indonesia,
and
Africa.
And then the last part, which is ancient Greece, for some reason, because they just couldn't do. We can't go to modern day Greece because
specifically
it's pronounced gyro.
It's specifically Mount Olympus, where all the gods reside.
Yeah, so
We're skipping way ahead though. Let's talk about the gameplay, the stages. So let's talk about Siberia first, because that's the first stage I went to. So
okay. Everything mostly can be done in Siberia, and then the Dead Sea is literally it's like 2 seconds of the game. But what would you like to say, Rook?
I remember the first part the most of that game. Distinctly, I remember picking up the toenail, throwing it at the mouth of the cave where you go in and meet some giant rats. There's giant rats, by the way. You spend a lot of time in that area, the rat area, and that's where you get your first...
it's about half of your visit to Siberia.
That's where you get your first musical number in the rat cave. That's the one I remember the most. I'll sometimes find myself going like, rats, oh, we're survivors, like nowhere. And it's like, why am I singing that?
Kanny, did you skip the rats one?
What?
Did you skip the rats song?
I skipped all of them.
Okay, so we're going to play a bit of the rats song real quick. I have it open on Hyperbeam right now. So we're going to listen to a little bit of the rats song, and you can hear, like, this is where the game is educational. Only this part, and it's entirely skippable as well.
Rats. Well, we're survivors. It's hard to drown us cause we're excellent sea divers. We can shoot through pipes, survive a nuclear blast, scale walls and fall and not get hurt at all.
See, it's a bunch of facts presented as a musical, so it's not like an actual song, it's just, here's a bunch of facts jammed into a 3-minute number.
Another thing also, these songs get they get varied attention. Like, the very last one is probably the most, touched up one.
And it's so long, too.
All of them are still garbage.
It feels like the last one had the most effort put into it, and it was for the shortest part of the game.
But yes, this is after kerfuffling around in Siberia a lot, after doing a lot of weird things. Like at the very beginning of the game, you go to Pink makes a thing like, I gotta go use the bathroom. So eventually you faff around in the mansion and you meet the mom first. Miss Dentist, I'm going to say Miss Dentist at this point. Meet Miss Dentist, and she's like, oh, he's poor. Have some change.
I think there's Smileden.
Or Smileden, yeah, Miss Smileden. And basically, we'll call him Miss Smileden at this point. But Miss Smileden hands Pink change because he's poor.
Yeah. No, she thinks he's like
a
something.
Or something like that. I don't know. But she calls him outright poor at this point.
And laughs at him for being poor.
Yeah, and they skedaddle off, and we're given change, which we give to the Corsair up at the top who's guarding the bathroom.
He's there for the rest of the game.
He stands there the entire time after you give him the change, but we're allowed
The family is called the Periwinkles.
Oh, yes.
Okay, well, Miss Periwinkle gives us change. But
they are dentists, or at least there's
Dentists.
He's Dr. Periwinkle.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well,
oh my God.
Jesus Christ. Well, we're given the smile enhancers, which are just little things that go.
They're like clothespins inside your mouth
that spread our teeth open. It's like the little things they put in your mouth to make your gut, like your lips open up, so they can work on you, basically. But they make you smile, and we have to give those to the clown that sits in Siberia, who is oddly, again, another thing pointed to why is this a kid's game. He goes there and says he's there to freeze himself to death because he can't smile as a clown, and so he was kicked out of the circus because he can't smile.
He went to Siberia to die.
Yeah,
he went to Siberia to kill himself.
Yeah, he's like, I'm here to jump into some cold water and then freeze myself
to death. He says
to death. Yeah,
to freeze myself to death. And
but you can hardly understand him because they gave him a really bad fake Russian accent.
Yeah, he has a fake Russian accent to top everything off. But you give him the smile things, and he gets really happy that he can smile. And
no, he's not happy. He's just forced to smile.
Well,
it's like the smile forced him to be happy.
Smile forced him to be happy, but he's happy that he can go to the circus again. And he does like a triple backflip and then lands on his back, so he can't walk anymore. But here's the thing with this game, is there are a lot of puzzles that get solved that give you nothing straight off the bat. So you don't know what to do a lot of the time because there are extras in there that don't come until very later.
Yeah, you don't actually get an item from helping the clown, but he does swear to help you because you helped him later.
So he is technically you solving a puzzle that you need to complete that part.
But it is several steps ahead, which is crazy.
It's clear that the game's real reward is just getting to hear Pink say lines, because there's no other benefit to the game.
At this point, I believe Rook loved this game just from the funny little rats dancing. I could imagine baby Rook going, "You funny rats, well rats."
You even got that far.
No, I did. I got so far in that game.
Because
except on the part with the Dead Sea. Even as a child, I was like, I had no idea how to get those tweezers. And I was like, I don't know what, I'm not. So I feel like I remember starting the game over just because I was like, I want to hear the rats sing again. And let's play through that single part over and over again.
Okay, so let's just talk about the highlights from each section. Let's not talk about the entire walkthrough of it.
Well, all right, and then basically after going through and faffing around, one of the other highlights is Blarney. A kid in the village in Siberia wants to watch Blarney, so you got to help her out. And basically,
they take the dirtiest little pot shot at Barney too. They say that the show is all about fun and friendship until he uses his brainwashing powers to force children to buy sugary cereal.
Force their parents to buy sugary cereal for themselves.
And he sounds like what's his name, Barney from Fred Flintstone, I think, which I think is funny.
Which I don't know what it's supposed to be in reference to. If it's supposed to be in reference to Barney, the purple dinosaur, or what? Because that's what it sounds like.
I don't remember Barney trying to sell me stuff ever, though.
Yeah, I don't remember Barney shilling anything to me, which is very funny because they make a kind of like a snark, like a
snide.
mark at snide remark at like how they shill things to you on the TV like all the time and stuff like that. And like Blarney is like incredibly violent. Like
if you
put
sit
it on the
and
TV,
watch, if you sit and watch the TV or like listen to it, he's basically taking a baseball bat to someone's shins because they're like, I don't want you hanging around that big scary walrus anymore. And he just like takes a baseball bat to their knees, and then they start singing about him.
Yeah,
about it.
It's like, if you're not going to share your candy with me, then I'm going to beat you with this bat. And that's basically what it is. And then after solving the puzzles in the little village where we have to get the girl, we are then, here's again with the set pieces. Some of the set pieces are absolutely rancid. But here's the thing. In the little village, when we help the girl, we get to then collect a little DVD, which will allow us to eventually go to where the rats who cause it.
It's a VHS.
A VHS.
They didn't have DVDs back then.
Yeah, DVD.
I can't say VHS because it'll confuse everybody. All right, they don't even know what VHS.
Videotape. Videotape.
They don't know what that is either.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But we are given a VHS, and it is a VHS of Jane Fondue.
There's 3 of them.
There's 3 of them,
There's
but
3.
the correct one is the first one that you grab, which is Jane Fondue's workout.
They make like a weird joke about Sister Act in there. Who is that for?
Yeah,
I didn't watch Sister Act.
I didn't watch Sister Act when I was that old. Oh my God. It's a Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi Goldberg
film.
poses as a nun and
Hiding from the mob.
gets everyone to be best friends, makes a choir and stuff like that, and it's just nuns doing things that aren't nun-like.
But this isn't Gex. So what the fuck is going on here? Is this a Gex game or is this a Pink Panther game? Anyways.
Well, maybe Pink
I think
Panther
the
did
most
it
weirdest
first.
thing was that woman, like the old grandma, who's cutting her toenails, and her toe is just. It looks infected with how bulgy it is.
Her big toe is bulgy, and then it's veiny, and then it's just the game is very gross at times with some weird random squelching noises too.
Yeah, but I feel like they were trying to put emphasis on her toenails being large so they could justify you having to pick them up and use them.
Yeah, and then you're forced to pick them up. I will say the saving grace of this game is there have been two major things that have stuck to me, but I'll talk to them later.
I know you are.
But we're okay. After we solve everything in the little village, the earthquake happens. The old lady says it's rats in the suburbs because they've been dumped in the sewers and they now live in the underground because they've been experimented on. Blah blah blah. But we get into there and they're in the little ice cavern that is frozen over until they cause the earthquake, and then you can get into it. So we go down. We're greeted with the.
They caused the earthquake by watching the Jane Fondue tape and exercising.
Well, no, that's not what. Before that, we don't know why they did that in the first place. They had to go somewhere, so they just said rats cause earthquakes. We got no longer flat world. The rats live in the
Hollow Earth exists, and it's populated by rats.
It's populated by rats.
There's no flat world. It's rat world.
But we're then greeted with more educational stuff, which again,
in order to get to the secret rat club, you got to answer questions about rats that you would probably not know beforehand.
Because they don't teach you this stuff before they ask you the questions about it.
Exactly. Unless they're expecting you to look through the Encyclopedia of Knowledge or whatever.
Oh, was that it? Were we supposed to look through the encyclopedia to find those answers out?
Pretty sure.
They did not make that obvious.
Exactly. I never did. Because I was just like, ew, books, reading. Bleh. So I would just play through and guess my way through these things when I was a kid, right? Because what else can you do, right?
Right.
They didn't have, Google actively ready.
Well, this did have online
look.
support. You could click online, and then you could click hints, and it would take you to a hint page. It doesn't exist anymore.
But, as a kid, you're like, I don't know what that means, right?
Yeah.
And that's not actively a thing games do anymore. So it's like, where would I have ever known that besides looking through a book? But they didn't tell me to look through it.
I didn't even know you could look through it. I clicked pink, to see if Pink was going to talk about himself. And then I saw the book there, and I clicked the book and opened it up, and bam, Israel-Palestine conflict.
Yeah. And then when you get in, there's like a bunch of stinky, big old, like, mutant rats, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, hey, you want a cheese sandwich? You gotta answer these riddles. I was like, what? I guess I already answered riddles, but okay. And then when you get the riddles, or when you get the cheese sandwich, some other rat comes over and he's like, I told you not to be sniffing where I'm trying to find food. And pins this one rat to a rock, and you're supposed to grab the pin that is pinning the rat to the rock, which a little weird, a little scary, right? And you're supposed to pin the sandwich to the saw that's in the room.
Yeah.
The other two had a hell of a time trying to pin that sandwich to the board because he just
there
kept...
was no detection.
It doesn't make sense. Why would you ever do that? Why would you ever think to do that?
It doesn't make sense for one. And then two, it also wasn't detecting me putting the sandwich on
okay,
it.
so the way it presents it is it got this rock with a board across it, and then you put the sandwich on one side, and then you put the tack through the sandwich to nail it to the board. Then you stand on the other side of the board, and the big rat guy comes in, he goes to eat the sandwich, and it slams, knocking Pink up to the upper levels. There is no point that you would ever think that you were supposed to use that to get to the upper area. So that was my confusion on that part, but then my other confusion was, why can't I just give him the sandwich? And it's like, clearly he wants the sandwich, so why couldn't I just give him the sandwich? But apparently, yeah, you were supposed to combine those two things, and it's a leap of logic that doesn't make sense.
Well, here's the other thing. Here's the other thing, is if you click on the seesaw, and then put the sandwich on the seesaw, it just throws the sandwich on it, and then it slides back towards you. So it's like, well, what am I supposed to do here? Like, obviously,
the sandwich goes here.
Yeah.
Because like otherwise it wouldn't have an animation like that. So I knew the sandwich was the key. The problem was there was no detection from the mouse on the object.
If you take the tack and you drag it over to the mouse in the corner holding the newspaper, he's like, I think you could use this tack to nail something slippery in place. So you can get hints by taking the items and giving them to the wrong character. So you can narrow it down that way. So that's cool that they do that, but y'all probably didn't notice that. Y'all probably didn't.
No, I did notice that.
Okay, y'all probably just...
I didn't know that as a kid. I was just like, I'm just gonna put everything everywhere and see if it works.
Yeah, and that's what you do in point-and-click games, is like, it's not obvious, so you just drop things everywhere.
And also, I want to make clear, there is no written walkthrough for this game.
No, it's only a video.
You're the only way you're able to figure out what to do is by watching other people's videos, and at that point, it's like, why even bother playing?
Yeah, just watch the video.
I could just watch the video.
Alright, so when you do get launched up there, you talk to the Rat King, and he's like, I've been trying to get my boys working out because rats only live for 1 year, which not true.
Not true.
And
First of all,
he wants to exercise to elongate his lifespan, and he wants to do that with his boys too. And he's like, I can get you to get another earthquake and free that mammoth upstairs if you're able to get my boys in the mood with exercising again. So you take the Jane Fonda tape, pop it in, and it plays a Jane Fonda exercise tape, which, again, they depict another female character with gross-looking breasts.
Yeah, like giant boobs that are just like bouncing up and down, and it's like, okay.
And the guys are like, yeah, and then they're partying, dancing, and like exercising, and the earth shakes and it frees the mammoth from its spot.
Yeah.
Then its trunk is just sticking out of the ice, and then that's when we need to go over to the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea
is like a second part of, like, when you jump into the black hole, there are 3 areas of which you can go. Siberia, the Dead Sea, and then you can go back to the mansion where the kids and the dinner party's happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to go between all 3 places
for each
for each
and you have to go back and forth constantly. You need things from the other area to solve things in the first area, so you're constantly going back and forth between the two, which is super annoying.
And things in the mansion change every time like a new area starts, or if you get far enough in one of the other 2 areas. So you have to like constantly check back to see if the solution that you need is for the other areas when it presents itself.
So we're gonna breeze through the Dead Sea. It's not a very interesting area. You spawn in, you break some guy's sunglasses. He's like, "Hey, you suck for that." And then you go and you pick up a few things: a salt lick to solve some puzzles in the first area, and then you go and you get the tweezers, and you go downstairs in a cave, and it's pitch black in there. So you have this meteorite that you got from the old lady,
Siberia area.
Which why was she holding on to a meteorite? And
Yeah, I don't know.
and
It's never explained.
you're supposed to guess that the meteorite is put on this cave wall next to you, and it would illuminate the whole room. You would have no reason to believe that this meteorite would do that. It's a rock, and you're like, okay, I'm going to use this rock to illuminate the entire cave. And also, the rock has a Jewish accent, which I thought was a little weird, but sure, Jewish
it?
rock. Yes, it's a slight like New York Jewish accent.
I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
But I did. Yeah, I can hear it now.
And it lights up the room. You give the lady the tweezers. She takes off her goggles. She gets the thing she wants from it. You get the goggles, some other parts. You go up outside. You hand it over, and you hand the stuff over to the dude sunbathing. And then the warlock comes in and sucks the water out of the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea is completely vacant, which allows an
For
ostrich.
some reason.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
because he's helping you. And
I guess.
And the ostrich on the other side of the Dead Sea is finally able to come over across, and he launches an egg out of his ass at you. And then it goes into a song and dance number about how great ostriches are. So let's pop in and play a little bit of the ostrich song real quick.
They do get something wrong about the ostriches. They're like, sometimes we bury our head in the sand. They don't do that.
Spanish bird, don't forget to tell us.
These parts,
Wait for me to hurt. I'm an ostrich.
this is the worst one.
Yeah,
honestly.
it looks like it was drawn with MS Paint.
I mean, like, music, visuals, this is probably the worst one out of all of them.
It's annoying, and I can't understand what they're saying.
Over 300 pounds, we have the awesome ostrich. Who wants to go a few rounds?
With an ostrich.
Okay, we can't play too much of these songs because they're copyright. This person who uploaded them mentions that they're copyright.
A lot of the facts that they give in these little entertainment, educational things, they're completely wrong.
So
And it's like, maybe they were correct at the time, or maybe they were misinformed when they were making this, but I would hope they'd do a little more research.
sounds like they needed an encyclopedia.
Yeah, exactly. But honestly, this was the worst song out of all of the songs. I always hated this song.
All
It's
right.
so annoying, it's so repetitive, and it barely tells me anything.
So you get the idea of how the game works now. You're going through the stages, and you're trying to get key items that are used to create a potion to help turn the girl into the immortal, magical, blah, 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 blah.
Immortal Magical Ninja Princess Mermaid, please.
And you cure her, and she turns into the whatever that she wants to. And
Immortal Magical Ninja Princess Mermaid. You could
She-
just ask me to say it.
she gets hungry, and she eats an apple that's on the counter that's clearly labeled as poison, which puts her into a deep slumber.
In her defense, the poison sticker's on the opposite side of where she's looking.
Yeah, and she eats it, she goes unconscious, and now you have to find a way to wake her up. And that initiates the second part of the game, which is just more of the same stuff. This time you go to Indonesia and Africa. And while you're in Indonesia, you'll talk to tribal people, you'll talk to the native people that are there.
You meet, like, pirates.
Yeah, pirates
But
who
not
are...
like the Yar matey pirates, but the like actual, like in this day and age, pirates, like the people who go around on boats,
Yeah,
firing
like,
at other boats and
like
stealing
Somali
stuff.
pirates.
Yes,
And
Didn't they call them like boogies or something?
boogeyman. They call them boogeyman.
they took a shark's fins from him that they were going to
Yeah.
sell, and
They unfortunately still do that today, which sucks.
Yeah.
They could have done a song about how maybe we shouldn't do that to sharks.
yeah, that'd be a good song to do. But yeah,
no.
you basically just do the same thing you did again, and then you do it again in Africa, and there's a song about Komodo dragons, and then you go back, you have all the parts again, you throw them into the cauldron again, and this
Well,
time
there was also a
something's
song
missing.
about
Maasai people.
Maasai people, yes, and their origins, what they believe their origins are, and all that.
And then you go back, you throw all the ingredients in the pot, and it feels like something's going wrong. It's not waking her up. So you go downstairs, and for some reason, Pink thinks it's a good idea to just grab this random cloche off the table and the Greek salad, and he throws it into the cauldron. And
well, he's like, this spell needs a healthy dose.
More balanced.
Yeah, it needs to be more balanced. So I'm giving it a healthy dose of greens.
So
it's like,
Pink, knowing nothing about how the magic works, just tosses random junk in there, and he tosses a whole Greek salad into the pot, and it causes the little girl to turn back to normal, but she's been possessed by Echidna, one of the Greek monsters that is the mother of more Greek monsters. She's kind of like
in the game. She's the granddaughter of Poseidon.
I think she's the wife of Typhon. And they made a lot of monsters together, like Orthrus and Cerberus. But in this, she's the granddaughter of Poseidon. And then you go to a Greek location, ancient Greece. You go to Olympus to talk to the Greek gods and stuff like that. And this is the shortest section of the game, which really sucks because I really liked this part. I had a lot of fun with the Greek mythology section, but it was very, very short. It was like 10 minutes.
And it had the best song in the game. Honestly, in my opinion,
I thought it was the worst song. It was way too long.
I loved it. I loved it as a child. I love it now.
You talk to Aphrodite, and then she attracts Poseidon and Zeus by using a perfume that you fetch for her. And Zeus does not look like you'd expect Zeus to look. He doesn't look big, buff, and strong like the mythology would say he is. Instead, he's a
little man.
He's a little man. He's a little Danny DeVito. And he's kind of more like a wise old man kind of character. And then Poseidon is his classical big, buff, strong guy form. And then you meet Dionysus, who they made look more like Bacchus than like Dionysus. Which Bacchus is the Roman version of Dionysus. And then you also meet Ares, who's sitting back in the corner, and he's got a kind of a hick accent.
Yeah, like a beer gut. He's just sitting there eating an apple. Doesn't look very war hungry. He just looks
hungry.
Yeah. And this section is summed up by you doing a quiz real quick for Poseidon to show that you're worthy. Oh, and there's also a training segment where you're trained by Apollo, and it's not Apollo like the god Apollo. He says, "We're going to have you train with Apollo," and it's big boxer black guy comes in. And Mabel thought it was Muhammad Ali, and he starts talking with like a Sylvester Stallone lisp and voice, and I was like, oh no, he's supposed to be Apollo Creed from Rocky, the Sylvester Stallone movie, the guy who beats up Rocky.
I'm gonna be honest, that went straight over my head as a child because I never watched Rocky.
Yeah, kids didn't watch Rocky. Kids didn't watch Rocky. It wasn't a movie for kids. And Mabel didn't get it either because, well, she hasn't seen Rocky. I haven't seen Rocky, even. I just know the references from That 70s Show, I think. No, it wasn't That 70s Show.
I know the references from every form of media in the late 90s, early 2000s.
We're going to have you train with Apollo Creed.
Apollo Creed. And, okay.
And he talks like Sylvester Stallone, like he's got a little slight.
You gotta come me, Mick. You gotta come me, hey.
Yeah, that means there's no air up there for them either. And you go and you train with him, and you come back and you defeat the Gorgons by getting one to look into a cloche and the other one to look into a hand mirror.
Oh yeah, you're sent on this quest to defeat the Gorgons because they've been a problem and we just kind of want to get rid of them. And for some reason he defeats them by dressing in drag.
Yes.
And giving them the Greek salad.
Yeah, and she's like, "Order up, who asked for the Greek salad?" And
oh no, he doesn't even put on a voice, he just talks in his normal voice. And it's like, oh come on, man, you gotta get into it.
Yeah, if you're gonna dress up like this, at least play along with it. You gotta give something for people to draw on DeviantArt. And he's got the full like pink beehive hair and stuff like that, and the thick horn rim glasses, cat's eye glasses.
Yeah, cat eye glasses.
And he presents her with the Greek salad, and she looks at the cloche, sees her face, and she turns to stone. And then the other chick is like, oh my god, I can't believe it. And then Pink shows the hand mirror to her, and she's like, you got something in your teeth. And she goes and looks at it, and she turns to stone too. Like, why would you be concerned that there's something in your teeth when your best friend just died in front of you? But
aren't they like sisters too?
Sisters, yeah.
And she's like, haha, that's what you get, you filthy pig. And it's like, damn.
And
Okay.
then Pink snaps a picture of them and brings it back to Zeus and shows them, and he's like, okay. And then Poseidon's like
this is a photo. A photo. And they're like, just shut up and give me the thing.
And then Poseidon says that he's not ready, that he to make sure that he's ready, he wants to quiz him on Greek mythology. And again, the game does not tell you anything about Greek mythology. It just presents you these Greek mythological characters, and then it asks you questions about it. And it was one that I didn't know there was one I didn't know the answer to. And so you're supposed to answer 4 out of 5 questions correctly. I remember answering 3, but they squeezed a second one in the first one, in the second question. They ask you what was the gift to Athens that got Athena to become the patron deity for Athens, and it was a tree. I didn't know that, but Poseidon also apparently gave them a geyser. And I haven't heard that myth before. But yeah, if I didn't know it, someone who's like, done a Greek mythology iceberg with over 1,000 god entries, not 1,000, over 300 god entries, I thought that would come up somewhere, but I guess they're hitting the deep lore. But you were, I guess, supposed to read the encyclopedia and find this stuff out, but they never tell us that the answers are in the encyclopedia. And you do that, you come back, you get Poseidon to take Echidna out of the little girl, and you get going, but it doesn't work because the little girl, Echidna doesn't want to leave the little girl's body. So Nathan comes in, and he gives out one last good spell, and he's like, something glaucoma, your time here is over. And
it's a stupid little rhyme.
And the spirit leaves the body. The little girl's turned back to normal. Echidna goes back with Poseidon, and the kid's feeling down about his abilities as a magician. And the sorcerer's like, well, I didn't make you. Well, Pink is like, you made the poison apple by yourself, and it worked. And the sorcerer's like, that's right. You did do that all by yourself. How about you come train with me? And he's like, I don't think my parents would be okay with that. And he's like, don't worry about them. And he fires a magical spell into the kitchen, making his parents subservient. And then,
yes, they're just kind of like, something happens to them. We don't know what. And it's kind of like, oh, okay.
You just killed them.
You just stole this child from his parents. That's a little...
I mean, pretty par for the course, I think, for a random hermit that lives on your property without telling you about it. But
yeah, it's a little weird though.
But he absconds with the child, and they talk about they go off into the night, and he lives a happy life as a little magician living with his new warlock papa. And that's the end of Pink Panther. So that's why I wanted to go over the key points. I think if we had stopped and talked about every single combination that we did, we would be here for, the full time of the game, the full length of the game. So that's why I just wanted to wrap up and go over the key points there. So what did everyone think about the graphics?
I mean,
Well, you haven't said anything in a while.
You haven't said anything in a while, Connie.
Well, you were talking and I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to get through that, but everyone can say something about the graphics.
I like the backdrops. The characters themselves, I'm not too a fan of, honestly, but then again, I also didn't play games during this era.
Yeah, it was all sprite art.
It is substandard for a DOSBox game that is probably shovelware.
Yeah, I've definitely seen better graphics on DOSBox games, but it was like pixel art that was made in MS Paint.
You had to compare this game. XCOM is on DOSBox, and XCOM has like literal full like sprite artwork of like a dissected alien.
Huh.
So,
Oh, it is a kids game. They were. I think they were just trying to get it done quick.
So yeah, it is shovelware basically. That thing, stuff that they've worked on, like Backyard Baseball, literally has way better.
This isn't the same company. Backyard Baseball was by Humongous Entertainment, the people that made Freddy Fish.
Who made this one?
Wanderlust Entertainment.
Oh,
They are, I believe, defunct.
probably, yeah. Never mind. Well, then never mind. That makes sense. Yeah, it's shovelware at this point.
Personally, I enjoy the artwork. I enjoy the sprite work. I enjoy the backgrounds. I like how attention to detail they put in, like the mansion looking like a big pair of teeth with braces where the windows go. That's
Disgusting.
That's genius. That's genius. If you think about it, it's like I love it. I like it.
Wanderlust Interactive has only made 2 games.
And they're both Pink Panther.
They're both Pink Panther.
Yeah, they're defunct.
So yeah, they made shovelware.
They could have done a little better about making certain things more obvious, like in the area in the Dead Sea area. There's the cave you go in where you use the meteorite. They could have made that a little more obvious because that just looks like part of the side of a cliff. And
Yeah,
it's easy
there's
to miss.
key points that don't stand out. They rely on you entirely using your mouse and hovering around, waiting for the mouse cursor to change.
And that just seems lazy, instead of taking the steps to make it more obvious, so you're
Stages
not
should
just
be-
sitting there.
Like we said in Golden Sun, stages should be designed in a way that guides you naturally through them.
Yeah, well, in a point and click game, it's kind of like all the rules go out the window in most point and clicks, but that part, really, I did not like that part.
What I didn't like
but
was
I
how
did-
long it took Pink to walk around the map. But that's nothing to do with the graphics.
It's more like padding out the game. Like I said, I enjoyed the sprite work. I enjoyed the background work. You could tell they put thought into how they designed some of the backgrounds to look, but not enough thought. It feels like for some of it.
All right, I like the graphics.
And the videos, the educational song bits. Some of them were really good, and some of them, the ostrich one reeks. It reeks ass. I hate it, and if I never have to see it again, it'll be too soon.
Yeah, the animation on the final one is really good. I don't like the song that's for it, but on the final song, the animation's really good. They have this coin that has Pegasus on it, and they spin it in the animation, and it's animated really well. It looks like a spinning coin, spinning rapidly, which causes this panoramic effect of like the horse galloping. And that looks really cool. And the mosaic art that they use throughout that music video is also really good. So in some parts it really hits, in other parts it really stinks. A lot of parts look like it was made in MS Paint, and then they've got parts like the music video that are really good. I think the game itself is a really perfect in between. The character design is really cool. I think the dentist looking like Donald Trump and having toothpaste hair is really funny.
Yeah, like you can tell they did silhouette studies, because none of the characters, if you put them like in a silhouette, just a silhouette, and you look at them, you can tell they're all very different shapes and sizes.
And they look like Hanna-Barbera characters.
Yeah.
And the ending art, oh my god. If I was a child, that would traumatize me. There's this scene where the periwinkles, the two parents, take their false teeth out, and their mouths droop, but they droop way down. Like, they droop down like a solid foot or two from their face, and they shove the teeth towards the camera and talk with the teeth, and it's like if you've ever been afraid of your grandparents because of their dentures and stuff like that, like as a little kid, like this is not going to do anything to sway that fear from you. It is going to make it worse. So extra traumatizing, scary ending, but the art is really good on it because of how effective it is as a scary tool. And let's talk about our favorite moments. What was everybody's favorite moments? Mabel?
Why me again?
Because I think there's a particular character that you want to talk about.
I liked the bear. The bear lady was hot.
We didn't talk much about the bear lady, but there
was a bear lady in the Siberia area where she's in a hut that's up off the ground by a few feet. It's the old lady you talked to says it's a food storage where they would put their food for the winter so bears wouldn't get to it, but there's a bear woman inside of it trying to hibernate in there, so it doesn't make much sense.
Kanny, what was your favorite part?
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't like any of it.
There wasn't a single thing you liked about it?
No.
Okay.
Not a single part.
Damn. Okay.
Rook, what did you like?
My favorite part was the beginning sequence, like the whole like cut scene in the beginning.
Oh, the rhyming intro?
Yeah, that was interesting. And even as a kid, that was like, oh, this is cool.
It had a very fairy tale presentation.
Yeah, I liked the rhyming and the little jokes and the visuals in it. I also liked the I'll keep saying this till I die. The final educational song that they put in there for Pegasus, I sometimes will find myself like humming that, like just out of nowhere, because I liked it so much. It stuck with me this long.
My favorite part was I liked the first joke that you experienced, the one where you're talking to the guy who's standing in front of the bathroom and he won't let you go to the bathroom. And he says that it's customary to give him a monetary fee in order for him to get access to the bathroom. And Pink is like, "Oh, I see. No green and no latrine. It's give me green or no latrine. What a racket." And I was like, "Oh, this sets the tone for the entire game. That's what the rest of this game is going to be like," and it was. And my favorite part, though, was, unfortunately, the shortest part, the 10 minutes of Greek mythology. Greek mythology is probably the most famous collection of stories there is, and it's such a wide-ranging collection of stories and myths, and it's been proven time and time again that you can make things in these stories and have it be new. You can expand on them, or you can just reuse the same old stories and pitch them in a different way. There's so many games that take Greek mythology and make a game, and they're still so very different from each other. Like, Phoenix Rising is entirely different from God of War, and they're both very different from Disney's depiction of Greek mythology. I think maybe they should have made a Pink Panther game that was entirely centered around Greek mythology, because there's no shortage of stories there. And then they called Pink the god of headaches because he freed Athena from Zeus's head again.
Yeah.
And so they called him the god of headaches, which was funny because he was immediately bestowed godhood. Yeah, so the Greek mythology section was my favorite, but it was too short. It should have been its own game. And, okay, so challenging moments. What was the part y'all struggled with the most? Anybody?
A time with the first part, the Dead Sea part. It had been a while since I played it, so I had forgotten the part where you go into the cave. I've forgotten all about that, and I was stuck for like 5 minutes trying to remember what to do. But I figured it out after like running my mouse along the edges, and I'm like, oh right, that's correct.
The most challenging part for me was probably the game itself is not challenging at all. It really is just hover your mouse over everything and click everything. But the challenging part is finding out what goes where and when. There's some combinations that just genuinely do not make sense. Like with the ostrich egg, we were supposed to take that back to the mammoth and jam the ostrich egg in the mammoth's snout so that it tries to toot and instead it causes itself to expand, exploding out of the ice. And you're just supposed to figure that out. Or like how you're supposed to use the toenails as a boomerang to destroy the icicles so that you can climb up the icicles like a staircase. Or nailing the sandwich to the seesaw. There's what I hate most about point-and-click adventures is in trying to have creative solutions, they make unintuitive solutions, which makes the game unfun. All right, Mabel?
I mean, a lot of it wasn't challenging. It's just like there are a lot of situations where puzzles don't necessarily solve something right after. It's like later. Like they're like doing the whole thing for all of the village is the only thing that causes the earthquake. Like you have to do everything in the village to get the earthquake to go. So there's like it's not you're just solving.
And there's no connection to that earthquake.
There's no correlation.
It just starts the thing. It would have been more better if like instead of you getting the meteorite and the earthquake, they gave you something to like melt the ice to get to the rat.
So the same problems I had, more bad point-and-click logic.
That's not just not point-and-click logic. It's just like they're not making the point-and-click the effort of the game. Like, oh, the point-and-click is just to tell the story at this point, and it's not like you solving like puzzles and like a regular point-and-click game. It's you doing little point-and-click things so you can listen to them sing about ostriches like that or rats. That's basically it. It doesn't feel like a point-and-click game. It feels like a song and dance game.
All right, Kanny, what did you find the most challenging?
The fact that a lot of the puzzles did not work unless you clicked on a specific pixel of where it was supposed to be. because I had issues with not only the seesaw and the sandwich thing. Like, I had clicked the sandwich on the seesaw several times, and it never worked. And, like, it kept doing the same, throw the sandwich on the seesaw, and then it just slides back down.
Well,
Like,
she can't. Mine glitched out too. I know she's talking because mine. I got under the seesaw and then couldn't like put it on the other end because I put it on the other side and then it kept sliding over to me. And then even though I clicked on the other side and did it, he didn't do it for like several times, and then he did it. And then it was also glitching out for me at that time too.
and then there was also, like, there's just, like, several points in the game where, like, the cursor just would not change to where it needed, like, an interactable, like, cursor. So, like, for example, like the cave in the Dead Sea, I literally was like swiping all over the place trying to click on the cave because I knew it was there already, but I couldn't click it. Or like the barnacles, for example, that pissed me off too on the bottom of the boat.
Oh yeah, and the thing with the barnacles is like, why
no
would you?
indication.
There's no indication that you need the barnacles. You would never think to grab the barnacles and toss them in the soup.
Well, yeah, but like it doesn't even show on the picture of the bottom of the boat. It just shows the bottom of the boat.
And
you would think,
even if you
oh,
saw
I-
it, you would never think, "Oh, I need the barnacles."
Yeah.
All right. And what was the parts you disliked the most, Rook?
The ostrich song. Honestly, every song after the rat song, but before the Pegasus song. I hated it. I hated that so much. I also hated how long it would take between like loading to get to another area. Mostly because I was also frustrated with that as a child. If someone was talking in the game, you had to wait until they were finished talking before you could do anything. I hated that as a child. Sometimes when you, like Connie said, when you click on something and it doesn't do it the right because it's like a very small specific hitbox, I hated that too.
I hated it when you were doing the satellite dish thing for what's her face, the kid who likes Blarney. You say her name like 50 times, but I can't remember it.
Tuki?
Yeah, Chuki?
Chuki, yeah.
So you get the little satellite dish for her so that you can try and get Blarney to come in a little bit clearer. And what you have to do is you grab you take it out of your inventory, and then you have to click a location and click yourself to use it. But if you don't click yourself just right, you put it back away because your inventory is centered on Pink's body. You had to click Pink's body to access your inventory, and then you click it again to put the object away. So I was frequently accidentally putting away the satellite dish when I wanted to use it. But yeah, I think really the thing I hated the most was probably the depiction of Mr. Azuma. I think his was particularly offensive.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
I like the slit eyes and stuff like that. I could be like, oh, that's just the time. But then the Japanese businessman voice and caricature was a little far. It's pretty bad. And after hearing that and then seeing the native people and stuff like that and how they were depicted, it was like, yes, some of the native people were depicted accurately in choice of their garb and stuff like that, but they did give them all very weird shaped heads.
And also, like, really weird, raspy voices.
Yeah, and they had a lot of white people playing black people.
Yeah.
So it was, after the thing with Mr. Azuma, the rest of that kind of made it seem worse than it was. It was bad, but it seemed all that much worse after the Azuma thing.
I also feel like they just didn't like women in general, because a lot of them were, like, drawn, like, with really weird proportions.
Yeah, it was like Ren and Stimpy weird proportions.
Like, they always drew, like, the women with, like, really big heads and, like, I don't know, it was just weird looking.
Alright, what did you hate the most, Connie?
Just about everything, honestly. Like,
Well, pick one.
I'm one of the. It's hard to pick one because I skipped most of. I literally was. I found out about like a couple, like maybe like 20 minutes in, that you could skip everything, like in between like transitions. Like if you were like click on something and push, and they start walking towards the thing. I found you could push the space bar to just basically fast forward it.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because, like, yeah, you can beat the game faster by doing that, But at the same time, the game's only reward that it has for you is the dialogue. So if you're skipping the dialogue, you're skipping your reward for solving the puzzles. So
Yeah. Well, the puzzles weren't fun, and half the time the quips made me want to just gouge my ears out.
oh yeah, the other thing I hate. Pink is a reply guy. He has to have the last word on everything. But I think we all agree that Pink was annoying in this.
The
And
whole game is annoying.
It's just one long annoying.
This game is made for pretentious people.
yeah, every time something would happen, Pink would be like, Proverbs, here's a proverb, or like the late Da Vinci said, and then he would make a quote, and then he would quote things wrong, or he would quote things in a funny way, or he would just quote them normally. And the thing is that he always had to have the last word, and it was always some kind of damn quote, and it was just really annoying because it makes Pink come across as a know-it-all, and I really, really hate it.
And the fruity voice did not help.
Okay,
Yeah.
but you say this. This game is made for those kids who go to school. I know everything. I know everything. Did you know that ostriches? Wait, this is the game made for those know-it-all kids. Exactly the pretentious little kids that you hear of. Actually, did you forget the homework? It's exactly what
Yeah,
this
and the
fucking game is.
factoids are nothing that would help you in school. Because these aren't things that they're covering in school usually. When we covered Greek mythology, it was like 5 minutes. We talked about like the main Olympians, and that was it. And we didn't talk about any of the myths. We talked about one, and it was Arachne and Pandora's box. And the stuff that the stuff that it teaches you is not something that would have practical application. It is Jeopardy factoids.
It is the type of game that like parents get for their kids that are like shovelware, who are like, "Oh, he's such a smart kid. That's my little know-it-all."
Okay, what did you hate the most, Mabel?
I think legitimately what I hated the most is the song and dance stuff.
Yeah, Mabel initially skipped those, but when she was helping me get through the game, because we wanted to make sure that I got through it quick enough to make this recording, she was like, I had not watched the musical numbers on this, so she popped
I didn't
in.
watch most of them. I watched the ostrich one and I watched the rat one.
And she popped her headphones in and she listened to the rest of them with me, and yeah, it was basically a big groan fest of like, oh my god, is it not over yet? And yeah, the only educational parts of the game is what's in the encyclopedia that you don't read, and the musical numbers that you feel like skipping. So, what would y'all change? I think it would
not make it a shovelware game because it's.
I don't feel like it's redeemable.
Yeah, I feel like you would have to make it not a point-and-click game. What would you change?
Like I said, making some things a little more obvious, like in like
Maybe
the
because this
background,
is made
making
for kids,
things-
they could highlight important objects, like have a
Yeah.
gold frame around them.
or like if you are
The
like
yellow paint.
stuck on something, you like hit a button and it shows you like things you can click on. That would have been nice. They do that sometimes in point and clicks.
Oh yeah, like how there's like Witcher vision in The Witcher. You press a button and it turns the whole thing grayscale, and you can see things light up that you can pick up.
Yeah,
just hide-
that and get rid of most of the songs in it.
Make Pink walk faster.
Yeah, I get they were trying to like show off him walking. They're like, we're
It was
so
a
proud of our
bad show-off.
animation for this.
Have you tried to
It's
walk
like-
north in Siberia?
North.
Yeah, like when you get to the village, walk up towards the tower. He gets
Oh, yeah.
stuck on the objects.
Yeah,
It's not him getting
the
stuck.
hips.
It's him slowly fading into the background. That's how slow he walks. Is that you can incrementally see him slowly shrink in real time as he's walking away. It's so annoying.
Kanny thought we were going to have a hard time talking about this one because she couldn't make very many notes for the game. And then I told her I made 7 pages, and she was like, wow, okay. And yeah, I think she was kind of worried that we were going to keep it under an hour.
I really didn't think we were going to talk this long about it, and honestly, I'm really over talking about it. 'Cause holy crap, I hate this game.
All right, so let's just give our ratings and wrap it up. So, Rook.
I want to go last.
All right. Kanny.
0.
No, come on. You can't give 0. It's 1 to 10.
I hate this game at 0.
everything. There's
I
not.
don't like any of it. I skipped most of it because I hated it so much.
Okay, Mabel.
I think overall it's a 3 because I know it's shovelware and shovelware tends to be bad, and this is just like it's a 3. It's a 3 out of 10.
I don't think it was shovelware. I think the team had fun with it. They clearly put in a lot of jokes that were just for them. So I think they had a lot of fun with it. I don't think it was shovelware, but I don't think it was fun either. And I think the worst thing you can say about your game is not that, like, if your game is good, that's great. If your game is bad, that's bad. But your game is boring, that's the worst thing you can say about it. Because you can still have fun with a bad game, but you can't have fun with a boring game. And this was a boring game. So I would rather play a 1 or a 2-star game over this, because then it would be at least funny bad. But this was acceptable in boring, so I would say it's like a 5 or a 6. Like, it's playable, and it is the perfect length. Any longer, I would have strangled myself with my Ethernet cable. And
I felt like it was too long.
And mine was already short. Mine was an hour and a half long because I hadn't been able to help. But
yeah, I didn't have help. I had to well, I did have some help, but most of the time I didn't have help, and it made me even more frustrated with the game.
Rook, what did you think? What is your score?
3.
3 out of 10.
This game reeks.
Okay, I'm very happy that you're with us on this one.
Yeah, no, the nostalgia wore off very, very quickly, and it was just like, wow, I had bad taste as a child. This game is awful. I hate having to backtrack all the time. I hate most of these songs. I hate having to sit here and listen to these people make dated, awful jokes. I hate the
The Jane Fonda reference it sent me.
I hate the racist caricatures the most. It was near and dear to my heart as a child, but now it's like,
now that you know better,
throw this in the garbage. The
Yeah.
only saving grace were the 2 songs that I really liked, and that's it.
I don't know,
Even
but
those have been tainted by, like, me growing up, re-listening, and being like, these actually aren't that great.
okay.
So I give it a 3 out of 10.
What did you
I
think?
like the art. I like some of the designs. I like the backgrounds, but that's it.
Okay, what do you rate the gameplay?
Gameplay, 2.
What do you rate the graphics?
Graphics, for the time, 6.
And what do you rate the music?
Music, 2.
Okay, Mabel, gameplay, gameplay, music, graphics.
Gameplay, I think, is a 1 out of 10. Honestly, it is the worst point and click I've ever played, and there are probably some pretty heinous ones out there. But this one,
I've played some decent ones, and yeah, this is on the lower end of point and clicks.
this is not a point click. Again, I've already said it. It's not a point click. It's a click till you get to Showtime tunes, and then you keep trying to get to the Showtime tunes. That's it. But a story, I mean, it's a story, I guess. It's a 3 out of 10. It's not like, oh, wowie zowie. Graphics, I think it's okay. I think it's like a 5 out of 10. It's, of course, everything in the background is going to be really poppy and stuff like that, because that's like what they focused on the most, because everything else in the foreground has to move, so everything in the foreground is going to look like. But yeah, it's a 5 out of 10 on that.
All right, Kanny. Oh wait, sound. What do you think of the sound?
Oh, sound? Jesus Christ, awful. It's like nails on a chalkboard. Like 2 out of 10.
All right, Kanny. Gameplay, story, sound, and graphics.
Gameplay wise, a 1. Sound, a 1. And graphics, I'll be generous and give them a 4.
All right.
How about story?
There was no story as far as I'm concerned.
There was.
You
just
skipped the
all of
story.
it.
It wasn't intriguing enough for me to even bother.
Okay. I think the story is for what it is, for a 2.5-hour game, I will say that it is a 6 for the story. I thought it was cute. I thought it had a good opener, and but after that, it all kind of really went downhill. I think the overarching story is much more interesting than the actual story that you play through. I think I kind of wish someone like stole the teeth or something at the end like that, like there was a mystery involved or something.
They did.
They technically did.
Sarah Chimera, the biggest Hocus Pocus pink laser in the history of lasers.
Okay, but wait, gameplay 1, sound design. I liked it until I noticed just how many squelching noises there were. Every time Pink puts something in his pockets, it's like wet macaroni and cheese. Or when Mrs. Periwinkle pulls something out of her dress, like she reaches into her cleavage and she pulls something out, and it sounds like she just dug around in wet mac and cheese. And
Like whip crack sounds versus the Hocus Pocus pink squelching noise.
yeah, like the music is fine. It's like it doesn't get in the way. The Siberia music sucks because it's just wind noises. The voice acting is good, but the music is very often much louder than they're talking. And I know you can adjust the levels, but you should automatically have the levels at the right amount, because like kids aren't going to know to do that, and kids are going to want to be able to understand the characters. I really liked the voice acting, so I'm going to give it like a 5, and that's mostly from the voice acting. And then the graphics, I'll say it's like a 4, because I think the graphics scaled really well for the screen size, because I did have it on my I think this is like a 36-inch TV, and it looked really good on a big TV despite being pixel art. There was no blurring or anything like that. It scaled up very surprisingly well.
It's just this laser over here.
It's a kids game, so I'm being generous because it's a kids game, because it's not made for me.
It's a shovelware game. It's educational.
It's not shovelware. They clearly had fun making it.
It is, Sarah. It's shovelware. Notoriously, like a lot.
The characters are too good for shovelware.
Y'all didn't even see the first one. The first one had worse graphics, I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, it's shovelware.
All right, let's do the outro. Let's wrap this up. We got a stream that we delayed for a whole hour now. Yeah, so thank you everybody for listening. Make sure that if you're listening to this on Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're listening to it, make sure you do the like or like equivalent, and do a subscribe or subscribe equivalent, and do a comment or comment equivalent. And then also, check out our Discord, bit.ly/experience. Oh god, I gotta look it up. Just a second. I changed the bit.ly link to something else.
Thank you for watching with your ears.
Thanks for listening. This was nope. bit.ly/EXP Disco, and that'll take you to our Discord, where you can join us in the talking about the upcoming game, and we talk about the games in advance that we're going to play, so that you have a chance to play them and join us in playing them and then talking about them. And then stick around for the Patreon read, and make sure you check out my YouTube, youtube.com/@SarahsThings, and check out my Blue Sky, which is also Sarah's Things. Mabel, is there anything you want to plug?
I guess check out my Blue Sky. It's at Impidimp Blue Sky.
Twitter @thatupdog or Blue Sky @thatupdog.
All right, and the next game we are going to be playing is Door to Phantomile on the PS1.
I'm pretty sure there's a cream for that.
Yes, there's probably a cream for Klonoa. Like, everyone keeps talking about how Klonoa sounds like a sexually transmitted disease.
Because it probably is.
Well, like I told you in that Catacaris video that I saw, there was an ad in a magazine talking about Klonoa, and you know what? I'll just save it for the podcast.
Did you say Catacaris?
Catacaris, yeah.
It's Kitacaris.
No, it's a YouTuber called Catacaris. That's it.
Are we done recording?
We're done. We're done. Goodbye. Go home. You're already there probably. All right, and for the viewer review, we have JM Luxro, who posted just before I started editing this. I never knew this game existed, but I gave it a try for this podcast and to see how it is. And my first thought when I started was, Pink Panther can talk? Yeah, I had a pretty similar reaction. I was very surprised that Pink Panther could talk, because I had seen some of the cartoons from the original Pink Panther stuff, and Pink never talked. As for my general thoughts being like halfway in, it's a decent point-and-click game, I suppose. I'm not much of a fan of the genre. I don't think many people are actually fans of point-and-click adventures. I don't know anyone besides children who are super into point-and-click adventures, but, you know, maybe I'm wrong, because I know there are some very adult point-and-click adventures out there, like Harvester. but that they're not made in modern days kind of shows how the genre has fallen out of favor for the most part. But yeah. So for me, it just gets a bit boring after having to go through plenty of dialogue, but the bits of fairly comedic gags and crazy cartoon animations were enough to keep me curious about what would happen each time. What I do like is the animations. The creative charm of cartoon craziness so iconic of the era is very present, like Panther needing a clown to jump on the mammoth to force it into his pocket for him because it's just so big, but then it closes like there was nothing in the way anyway. And the animation of the little cutscenes are surprisingly fluid. Being my favorite one was the cutscene where the kid casts a spell in the book, and we see it opening and flipping its pages, then tilting slightly forward before the contents flies away. Yeah, the opening cutscene was really impressive. I think they put a lot of the work into that, and then when they got to the end of the game, they realized that they had a lot of budget left over and put it into making that animated music video for the Greek gods section. What I don't like, though, is the music. I can't say all the tracks are bad, but they get too loud, where it gets almost difficult to hear the characters talking, and that carries on to some random musical numbers that happen from time to time. Yeah, I mentioned that I thought that the audio mixing was pretty bad, where the music is frequently louder than the characters, and they're, like, competing to be heard. Not sure if it's some audio setting gone wrong or something like that. No, it just happens sometimes. That's why you have different audio sliders in games nowadays. And you do have separate audio sliders in the DOS emulator Scum VM. On the original hardware, I have no idea if you could separate the music from the spoken audio, because I believe DOS might have been back at the time when we had different sound cards from different companies. No, probably not. But yeah, the music was too loud, and Kanny mentioned that the music was too loud. But yeah, thanks for writing your review. If you want to write a review on one of the games that we're working on right now, you can also do that by going to bit.ly/EXP Disco, and your opinions might get shared on the next episode. Thank you to all the patrons and YouTube members. If you want to join them, check them out on patreon.com/Sarah's Things, where you can help support me for just $1. Thanks again to Nat, Selena, Marius, Yini, Worm Syrup, Radiante, Rask, Ver, WildKitty69, Beeve, Bait, Sly, Colorado Blue, Vaderson, Linky, Splackjack, and Melting Brick.